Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hello, hello, hello. It's the phenomenal STEMist. Good night, everyone. Good night, good night, good night. I am excited to be here with none other than uh, I'm going to call him my resident IT guy, Joel Avery. Joel Avery is has been an information technology consultant. Here's his business creativeness. He's been doing this since 1999. So he has a lot of experience in design and creation and information technology and technique. So listen, I want to talk about artificial intelligence tonight. I want to talk before I do that. Let me pay my bills. So remember, phenomenal STEMist. My book, Phenomenal STEMist, is on Amazon, of course, now. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, you can like and subscribe and follow Joel's creativeness on Facebook and all his social media platforms. But anyway, Joel, thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Maya. It's great to be here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I know you've been talking about artificial intelligence quite a bit of late. And I know I've been doing this at least since 2018, not for a long time, but when the World Economic Forum came out in 2018 and they basically said the jobs that we're doing now, 75 to 80% of them will be done by robots. I said, listen, we have to start preparing people. What do you think about AI in general before we get into our article?
Oh, it has been fascinating. It's been fascinating for literally for decades. I guess the fascinating part, though, that I remember was either in novels going all the way back to Isaac Asimov and the popularized more recently with iRobot
I
and
robot.
the three laws that Isaac Asimov posited. So that's when my fascination began years and years ago. And so it's just amazing to see the rapidity in which finally, we are seeing products where there are things that you can do now with it, and you can interact, and regular citizens, regular people, not just scientists, not just intellectuals, not just techies, regular people can use AI right now for solving real problems. So that's, to me, it's just fascinating. I don't know if we have seen a game-changing technology like this go so quickly from science fiction to science fact that the regular person on the street, as long as they have an internet connection, has access to.
And they can use it for their own benefit. I mean, things that take years and days and weeks can be done in
Mhm.
short amounts of time. So it can be valuable to you, but it can also take people's jobs. So the article that we're talking about, since we're on phenomenal financial freedom,
It's what are the top 10 jobs that AI can replace, and this is coming from last week's Forbes article, which really documented Goldman Sachs' report to say that by was it 2025? I don't know. No, not necessarily a date, but in time, in a short amount of time, artificial intelligence and machine learning will take or replace 300 million jobs. 300 million. Like, America is 330 million people. Okay, that's the size of our country, 330 million. And they are saying that robots will take 300 million jobs in the world, of course, not in just America, but in the world. And so, wow, that is crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? And how are you going to prepare? And specifically to the parents out there, how are you going to prepare your kids? How are you going to prepare your kids? So, let's start off with the article. The top 10 jobs that AI will replace. We'll just talk about those. Number 1, customer service representatives. Number 1, customer service representative. Number 2, receptionists. Receptionists. Number 3, accountants and bookkeepers. Number 4, salespeople. Sales. Number 5, taxi and truck drivers. Right? Number 6, retail sales, like all the stores. Number 7, proofreaders and translators. Number 8, security in the military. Security in the military, guys. 9, surgical assistants. This is huge for the community college system, which a lot of people go to school for these assistance jobs. And number 10, courier service, places like FedEx, Walmart, Amazon. So what I noticed is that it's a lot of jobs that don't require a lot of skill, number 1, and it's a lot of jobs that are common, like in my community especially. Sales, um, a lot of my friends when in the past, after they finished high school, they did customer service. What do you think about the jobs that are gonna be replaced by artificial intelligence?
Yeah, this because they are such common jobs, so much of retail just disappearing all along the process, not just in the stores, but all the way through the other portions of sales, even larger market sales, just regular salespeople that are selling any type of product.
Any type.
The fact that computers are going to be able to step in and replace those jobs is kind of crazy. And I don't know, I was thinking also that it's got accountants and bookkeepers on the list. That's something we usually attach a higher value
Higher skill,
to,
yeah.
a higher skill level. There's definitely some schooling involved in there, and it's just it's headed for the chopping block, according to this article. So
Yeah, according and some articles even say a lot of lawyers.
it's interesting. Out of all of the professions, this is something I didn't expect. Out of all of the professions that I have seen advertisements for, lawyers, the legal profession, ChatGPT for lawyers, I've seen those articles all over the place, and it's amazing how that's at the top of the list. Kind of mind-boggling, but I guess the fact that law and the way it's practiced, there's so much written about it. It makes it easier for the technology to get a hold of it and parse through it and represent it in a way that, okay, the same way that a legal professional might do. Well, now computers can do it too.
And it may be certain types of legal professions. I don't think criminal law ChatGPT can take over. But I do think like paperwork law, like things that are just contracts.
Yeah, things like that.
So yeah, I don't want to say it's only low skills. I feel like a lot of jobs are going to be taken by AI. So I was talking to engineer yesterday, a chemical engineer, and he was talking about what he did. So he basically designs hydrogen power for vendors, for people, for power plants.
Mm.
And he said the toughest part that he has to deal with is dealing with the actual vendor, telling them what they can and cannot do. He can literally do the science part, but the toughest part is like telling the vendor, explaining to the vendor what is, what's possible, what's not possible, explaining to vendors across the country based on their own personal rules and regulations. And so I said to him, it's the hardest part, but it's the part that can't be replaced by AI. Like the thing that you do, which is design the actual plant, that can be done by artificial intelligence. So I feel like even certain high tech positions, engineering positions, the things that are robotic can be done by robots. So you have to master dealing with people. I think that's the thing that might save you. What do you think?
Yeah, and one of my key verticals is architecture, because that's what my background is in, and many of my clients are architecture firms, and so that same thing you're talking about with the engineers, when it comes to meeting the basic requirements as they are laid out in a program, and both the requirements and whatever is required by law, as far as setbacks for a property, and things such as ADA guidelines. Okay, your handrail has to be here so somebody doesn't fall when they're going down the stairs, and things like that. We're at the point now where computers can figure out a lot of this stuff, but computers don't have the finesse to talk to a potential client and figure out the other needs for the building, make connections in between the various business processes, or say it's a community building or a community center, talk to the community and figure out, okay, what are the needs within the community per se. It does not quite have that personal touch yet, and may never get there. That's something that individuals add. But as far as the grunt work, so in a traditional architecture firm, even an engineering firm, there's a lot of drafting tasks that have to be done. Those drafting tasks, when CAD came along years ago, that's when I spun up my business. When that came along, there were fewer drafting jobs, and architects and designers had to think more. But now, those in this next generation of software that's coming along for engineers and architects, many of those drafting tasks, many of those basic tasks are going to go away further, because again, the software is going to have this intelligence built in that is going to be able to gather that whatever it needs from all over the internet, put it in the project. So all of the rote work that regular draftsmen might have needed to do, it's going to go away. It's going
to go away. Just like the library basement where I had to go and find different journal articles and understand the methods, the Dewey methods and all that stuff. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I go on PubMed, I go on databases, I go online. I have not been inside a library in I don't know how long. And we have to adapt. So this concept of AI, before I move on to the jobs that may not be as easily replaced, I'll say, what is AI doing? It's just getting information that the internet has free access to, and then making a decision about it and spitting out an answer when I ask a question. Is that I mean, that's one side of AI. So there's machine learning, there's different types of AI, but the popular AI right now, the chat BTs, GPTs, the U.com and all that stuff, what is it actually doing?
Yeah, well, that's one of the biggest models. The most common model is, yes, basically looking at all of these data, sets of data, and when you put in a query, when you put in a question, it's using all of the data that it has and all of the power that it has both to access that data and sort that data to come up with the answer, to come up with the solution that you need. So that is one piece. One of the greater things, though, that people are using now is for information that is not publicly available, that can't be searched on the internet. There are methods with ChatGPT and most of the engines where you can input your own information. You can go through and your own dissertation, something that you wrote, or your own Excel table, you can give that, put that information into the database, into the AI, and make queries yourself of your specific set of data. And so it can be powerful in both ways because it's able to see relationships and to quickly compute things that you yourself might not be able to do.
Yeah, I have this big ML, bigmachinelearning.com has a I put Excel files that I in my research, and I'm looking at patterns. So things that I probably wouldn't have the time. It's the time. Chat AI is saving on time.
Yes. Yes.
Time and resources, and that's why I think it takes away jobs. Like, why waste time with human when you could just do it in something that would take 10 hours, doing it in an hour. I wouldn't need a human to work for 8 hours a day. And so you could see how it could take a job. So let's look at the jobs that are not as easily replaced. Okay. CEOs, lawyers, graphic designers, editors. Even though I heard that editors going to be replaced, it's kind of like different articles have different ones I'm seeing, but editors, computer scientists and software developers, public relations managers, event planners, marketing managers, teachers and educators. Shout out to the teacher and educator that still has a job. Writers and authors. Shout out to this author right here. Don't forget, y'all. I told you, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. Right? These jobs are not as easily replaced. And I would think it's because it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to deal with other people. Why are these jobs difficult to be replaced by AI?
Yeah.
I wonder.
I think that some of them, they do require more emotional intelligence and more interface with human beings than the AI can handle. But also, some of them it does vary. Just like we kind of identified earlier that some lawyers, some types of lawyers may be affected more than other types of lawyers. And I thought it was interesting that they added graphic design to the list because some of the biggest AI applications have been with graphic design. And matter of fact, it was 2 weeks ago that the public trials of Microsoft's, I think it's called Microsoft Designer. Again, it's kind of a more AI-driven version of Canva. That became available. And it does some in pretty impressive things. So it's for some things it really is only a matter of time. But whenever it's very intensive with individuals, with trying to get information from people that they themselves might not know, that's still a lot of work for an AI to make that extra human, prolonged human connection to get all the answers that it needs to make a decision. So that's why some of these are still on here. But it's, I do think there's at least one thing that's pretty funny on this list.
Which one? What's funny?
I think it's funny that we are talking about technology, and number 5, the computer scientists and software developers, according to this, they're going to get the axe. And
no, computer scientists, software. These are that will not be replaced.
Some of them, the ones that are going to get the axe again, are the ones that are further down on the
totem pole.
Because because computer scientists built this, they said, boy, wouldn't it be great if this understood code and could help me do this code? And you have AI engines that are building websites, that are doing connections between various databases. Right now, you could literally say, look, I need this database to talk to this database. What is the C++ code I need for that? And you can snap your fingers in 10 minutes. You'll have the code snippet that you have to do that. So,
Copy and paste, so you won't need a computer scientist. Even just technology in general, I really believe that technology has advanced so much that we could really do a lot of things by ourselves. Like the flyer that I made, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful flyer?
beautiful flyer.
I did it myself on Canva. Like back in the days, you would have to find somebody to do your YouTube flyers for you,
Yeah.
and then pay them. Now I did it for free. I have the free Canva version. I don't even have the paid Canva version. Like there is so much little overhead when you have a technology based business. I say this all the time. If you're gonna buy $1,000 phone, you better use it as an asset and not a liability. Like all my TikTok videos, I do it from my Apple. It's so easy to do.
Okay.
So I'm realizing that technology is getting so advanced that even a novice like myself can do all kinds of things with it.
Yeah.
And I think, that was the dream of Steve Jobs. I watched his movie last night, the one with Ashton Kutcher. And and that was his dream. But at the same time it's taking people's livelihood away, especially the lower ones. What I noticed though is that many of these jobs are highly educated people and highly networked people, like a CEO. Like how many African American CEOs are out there? How many African American lawyers do we have? How many African American PR managers? I feel like, there might be a reason to, or there may be a need to really talk to the people, our people of color, about preparing for this.
Yeah, there's definitely a need, and I guess it's kind of been that way for a while. But now that these tools are available, we need to be first using the tools so that we understand the tools and we understand the power, and we understand that the game is changing, and we do need to be more aware of what the next level could be. And there's plenty of great articles about how African Americans are wonderful consumers of technology, and they're some of the first to get the newest iPhone or whatever the latest gadget is. But how many of us are the decision makers on these large platforms and for these large products that that is a conundrum, and it is clearly identifies where we need to do better, particularly if we're going to make sure that these products don't hurt us more, that these new technologies don't hurt us more.
Right. And it's going to involve, there's two schools of thought. I've seen people put, what's his name on here? The woke brother. I can't remember his name, but he's saying we need to stop going to college and do trades.
Oh, okay.
Right. Because trades aren't replaceable by AI, which I don't believe is necessarily true. Right. The robots, many robots will do the grunt work of trades.
Yeah.
That's what World Economic Forum says.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are some trades that are highly skilled. That's fine. But not going to college is not true either, because many of the jobs require critical thinking. Many of the jobs that critical thinking that involves emotion and connection with other humans, those cannot be done by robots either. And many of those jobs are require a college degree. So I don't want to put people in camps of, well, AI is going to take over the world, so stop going to college. That's false information. That
Mm.
like you may need to go to college, but you may not need to go to college and spend a whole lot of money for a job that's going to be taken up by robots. So like you were saying, are you aware?
Are you aware?
Are
Yeah.
you aware? So I just gave you 10 that will. Let me show the 10 again that will. I'll say it again. The 10 that will. Courier, right? A lot of logistics. The low level logistics. The management of logistics may not be taken over, but the low level logistics will be done by robots and drones. Surgical assistants. You may need to chill on going to certain types of schools that do surgical assistance and even some surgeries, because those are going to be done by really detailed robots without the need of the surgical assistant. Security and military. I saw this with Obama. There was a drastic shift in the amount of drones that he used
Yeah.
compared to human beings. So there's not a there. So usually a lot of people, especially of poverty, when they don't go to college and they don't go to trade schools, where do they go? They go to the military. Well, the military is going to start using robots, and that's kind of scary, though. I mean, I'll get to that. Like proofreaders, translators. Like I use the phone to speak Spanish. I'm not using translators.
Yeah.
And retail, truck drivers, taxi drivers, salespeople of all levels, accountants, receptionists, and customer service. Like these jobs are more likely to be replaced within the next 5 to 10 years at a higher level.
Mm.
So, so how do I guess my we have the last couple are gonna be like, what are the new jobs? So how do we get in the know, right, of these things? Because they're gonna be. They always said don't be afraid to the point where you freeze,
Mhm.
because even though they'll take away old jobs, there'll be new created jobs for you. So how you say we need to get in the know as people of color? How do we even where do we even find these things?
Well, I think that that really puts you and other educators in the spotlight, because uh, it's not just the knowledge that teachers bring, but by instilling in their students a love of curiosity and a love of discovery. That type of passion really does make a difference, because you can discover things that may not be out there, and may not be as in your face or as obvious. And so when you are encouraging others to have this love of curiosity, that's the perfect skill set for exploring these tools. First of all, for almost all of them have some sort of free portion to it.
Right.
Find one that's free and see what it can do. Try anything. What this is April, February passed, so it's a little late. But let's see, what holiday? Oh, okay. Here,
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day will be coming up pretty soon. Go to u.com or ChatGPT and go into the writing mode and say, okay, I want you to write a sonnet for my mother, and make sure you include something about chocolate chip cookies, walks in the park, and nice homes in West Philly, because those are all things that she loved. And just see what happens. See what you like about the input or the output from ChatGPT. See what you don't like. Play around with it. See what even try a different engine. Go to u.com. Try their writer. Be curious about what the technology is good at and what it's not good at, and that's going to give you a better sense, a better comfort level, and more wisdom. And who knows, maybe you'll discover something more, because one of the jobs that is being created right now are prompt engineers. And I'm not sure if is that in the list? Are we going to?
Yeah, we're gonna go with that actually.
Okay.
So to a good segue. So
Good.
not to be afraid of
Mhm.
AI 100%. There's some things to be scared of. We'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, they'll take your job as a courier. So then you need to make sure you retool or you have your child retool. And so, what are some jobs that are going to arise? This is what they predict. This is a really good article, which they predict new jobs will come out of it. Number one, data scientist. This is where I've modified myself. Like I'm a
Mhm.
molecular pharmacologist. I worked with molecules and cells in a laboratory all through my years. But then as I work at a community college now, I don't have access to high level labs anymore. So I shifted to data, and it's been excellent. It's been amazing. My evolution as a scientist to shift to understanding health disparities in African Americans for my students has been amazing. I've seen them present at high level conferences. Like I have 4 students that are going to be presenting at the American Association for Cancer Research. That's the largest conference in the country when it comes to cancer, and my little old community college students are going to be presenting there, um because it's new, and you evolve, and you do it first. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, and it's so, I tell you, this concept of overhead. It's the SEER database, this epidemiological database for the National Cancer Institute is free.
Mhm.
So since it's free, then all they need is a computer, and they have that. All they need is Excel,
Yeah.
and they have that. And so, data scientists, I'm teaching my students how to become data scientists as biology majors, right? Artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers. These are engineers that are basically creating software and certain types of machine learning that can literally make predictions off of patterns, right? So you have all this data out here. There's data for days out here. And who's gonna be able to take that all in? I mean, the human mind could if it had all the time, but it doesn't. And if it took, but this artificial intelligence, they do. Number three, data labeling professionals. I don't know what that is. Data labeling professionals would increase. It's a blue collar job. It's just taking data, collecting data, the grunt work of collecting data, I guess. If you could do that.
Yeah, the groundwork and also assigning values to the data that are meaningful to the AI, so that it's classified and classifiable in a way that the AI can
Can
understand.
recognize.
Yeah,
Data labeling. Is that what you were talking about? Data
yeah,
labeling
that's the data
professional.
labeling. Yeah,
What's that?
yeah, yeah. So basically, if you've got a data set, particularly data sets that aren't already digitized somewhere,
Got
and
it.
you have to digitize it and you have to somehow categorize it, put labels to it, that's what that does. That's what that helps with. And so there will be a lot of need for that because there's plenty of works, articles, books that are not accessible, particularly historical. But once that stuff is cataloged and archived and becomes a part of the data set, all of a sudden you've got more, for instance, like you were talking about historical information for research. All of a sudden you've got all of this additional research, all of this additional historical information that could be helpful in a variety of fields.
Got it. Which is really trapped right now on paper, but
Mhm.
I take it and I label it and I put it in a workable fashion for the machine to do it quickly.
Exactly. Yes.
Got you. Okay, so hardware specialist for artificial intelligence. So this is a tech job. This is a hands-on trade that will work
Mhm.
because you're a technician working on the actual hardware.
Yeah.
And I don't remember his name, but he was one of the hardware guys for Apple. So as I said before, I watched Steve Jobs movie, and he needed a guy to actually build the computer and build the fan
Mhm.
inside the computer that will cool all that stuff down in a silent way. That's a physical job that he had to do,
Mhm.
and he loved it. He didn't have a suit and tie. So there are all kinds of positions and different types of positions. So these are just four examples of new things. But they seem so detailed, like people who don't like numbers and that kind of stuff. Do you think they'll get bored with it?
Uh, Maybe some of them, but not all of them, because that again, the numbers part, that's the part that the computer does very well.
Right.
So I think one of the other, I guess it was under the engineers portion, the artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers, one of the best jobs, and something that's, talking about being curious now, one of the best things is coming up with these prompts, learning the best way to ask computers to produce the best results. And there are entire forums now of people collecting, okay, I was using ChatGPT and I couldn't get it to do what I wanted to do, but this is how I asked it, and then it understood that. So being an engineer, to either design these prompts or the other direction, okay, I want a computer, I need for you to understand people better, because you come up with strange things too easily.
Got it.
And being somebody that can program that, again, that's not necessarily as much numbers. That
That's
really could have,
emotional intelligence.
that's kind of emotional intelligence for a machine. Almost trying to figure out, okay, what's your problem, computer? How come you can't figure this out? Why are you frustrated when people ask you this? So
Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So lastly, we talked about the jobs that they can take. We talked about the jobs that they can't take, and we talked about new jobs that will be created that you may want to start preparing your children for, right? Or
Mhm.
yourself for.
Mhm.
What should we be afraid of AI, and what are some things that we should be concerned about?
Again, I talked about my first awareness of AI was in science fiction, and nearly every science fiction author for the last 40 years has said, yes, be afraid, be very afraid, because there's just no scenario where things don't
And
go.
well,
Yeah, yeah. So, and I guess that's part of how you and I connected on this particular topic, was from last week's letter. What I don't know. Why don't you tell people about that open letter?
so I didn't read the whole letter, but what well, I kind of did, but I skimmed it. But
Yeah.
my vibe from the letter was, we need to get these people to stop it immediately. Is that ultimately what they were basically saying? And who wrote the letter? I wasn't really sure who wrote the letter, but basically, whoever wrote the letter is a collection of people that say this is dangerous. We need to slow the process because it's going too fast and it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
And I had colleagues, especially on LinkedIn, that were saying this is a misguided letter and da 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 da. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I really, really don't. I'm not an IT girl, so I don't know what to think.
I thought it was interesting because, yeah, I think I read a handful of articles on both sides of the fence, and of course the more sensational ones I looked at more, including the letter was written by IT, mostly technology professionals and technology futurists, and even some big names in technology, that basically said that, that the technology needs to be slowed down. And I thought it was touching that many of them realize that there are moral implications to this technology, including, that, hey, people will lose jobs, and it might not just a few people, it'll be a lot of people
A lot of
that will
people.
lose jobs. And we need to try and prepare the world for, this next phase. So we need to slow things down. And I guess, in terms of being afraid, I thought it was funny because one of the articles that I read was that this article, it basically said that the letter that people that was put out was a year or 2 years too late,
Too
and that
late.
everything,
Yeah.
it shouldn't have been we don't need a 6-month moratorium. We need to turn this off altogether right now. And so definitely an alarmist view, but the points, I just had to laugh a little bit because this is somebody that has already again looked at futurists and looked at even some of the again science fiction literature and movies and said, look, we've seen the possibilities here, and we have not put in any
Anything
of
in
the
place.
safeguards that need to be there. So what? How are we going to protect ourselves from these computers that are pretty soon going to know better than we do in a lot of different areas?
Oh my goodness. And I'm gonna have so much access to it and quickly think of things.
Yeah.
I need to go watch iRobot again. I'm gonna
Wa-
go watch I'm gonna watch
Watch
that tonight.
watch iRobot, and I guess something more contemporary. What was the movie? Oh yes, Megan.
Oh, I don't want to watch that. That freaked me out. With the blue eyes, she looks too scary. I was thinking that too. I was like, but no, that was a little bit too much. That was too scary. So I think I could do iRobot. I can't do Megan. I can't do. They should call it Karen or like or Becky. They should have changed the name to that. Yeah. So but yeah, to your point, I mean, those are things to consider being afraid of, but like, it's funny because I don't think they really want us to know. Because like I said before, the World Economic Forum said in 2018 that 80% would be taken. Like what they did tell us, but I feel like a lot of people are loving it. I'm wondering if especially students, they're cheating on their papers with Chat GPT, and it just got popularized. I think that with the combination of social media, it makes it explode like everything else.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, this concept of a lot of people losing jobs, it's kind of like prophetic. You think about the book of Revelation, um, biblical. It talks about, there'll just be one currency, and some power has the ability to turn on and off your ability to buy and sell, right?
Yeah.
And I think it, even Andrew Yang and other politicians were like, we're just gonna have to have a basic income because a lot of people are gonna lose their jobs. We just need to give everybody $1,000 a month. Remember, that was back when he was running for president with
Yeah.
Trump.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've been saying this a while. They've been saying this a while. So this letter is it really too late, or I don't know.
It's probably too late because it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, and like you said, it is so powerful, and and people are making money off of it. Look, if a big company has 1,000 employees and no longer has to pay these employees because they bought this program for $1,000 that does the work of those 1,000 employees, there is absolutely no way that they're going to say, oh, let's do what's good for the people and just keep them on. Cash is king. We're in this capitalist society, this capitalist planet, and so yeah, a lot of those things it's very easy for them to come to pass now because because the computing power is there and the possibility is there. So
But will cash be king if nobody has cash? Like, isn't there a delicate balance of trying too much to get all the money? Because then, if everybody's broke, then you're in a depressive state. It's I don't know.
it's yeah, I don't know, and it's interesting because we're here in this country, but we're talking about a phenomenon around the globe. But healthcare is such a big problem, and there hasn't been any fixes. I'm talking to my dad about some healthcare issues and my own healthcare issues and insurance problems, and it does seem like people don't necessarily care about those people that are in power. So who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
crashing and burning is okay with them because they think they'll be okay. But again, with this technology, and as with most things, we're in a system together, and
Yeah.
it'll
We're-
take us all down together if that happens.
Yeah, we all we I mean disconnected as humans. I don't know what they think, but
Yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce Shalak Daily. She's technology shall increase. Yeah, knowledge shall increase. Technology shall increase.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in. What do you think about it though? Are you afraid of this technology increasing daily or not? I don't know. I'm worried also about the military. Like if there is a whole bunch of drones and robots that are in the military, like the amount of uncontrollable war that could occur, and that's what I think with the. I think I watched iRobot one time, but it could backlash and they start killing off humans. You know how scientists will think, futurists will think.
Well, it's already at the point, and I guess it's the ACLU. One of the things that they in this advance in robotics and AI has been, okay. Well, we've got these drones now, and they're already used overseas for wars. Why don't we use drones for police work? And so the ACLU is working very hard to be sure that these robotic devices do not get in the hands of police forces, because America doesn't have enough training, doesn't know how to control its human police, let alone ones that are technology based. So that is a real and pleasant present danger, particularly for people of color.
And partially, like what based on what you just said, because of lack of training, and the system is already bad against us, rigged against us. But the equipment, the AI is trained by majority white males. Okay, so all the information that they have is based on the perception of white males. So can you imagine a robot with the mind of a white male policing an African American community? This is why it's like a delicate balance. I want us to be concerned and thoughtful on the matter, but we got to train our kids in this so that we can create more information for them to see more of us in a different life, or else there'll be biased Caucasians and then biased robots with which are way more powerful than any human. Can you imagine biased robots? It's out there now.
Yeah.
Many of these tools that use facial recognition are biased against African Americans on the job. But what can we do about it? The only thing we could do is be a part of the programming. But we can't be part of the programming if we don't learn it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and we've already been there. I don't know how widespread it is, but we've had this. You mentioned the imaging technology and that machine vision technology. There was a huge program. It was so popular and so wonderful that Amazon bought it and sold it to police forces around the country, and they were testing it out, even some testing done in Orlando, and that's how they discovered in multiple locations that hey, isn't it interesting that everybody that's doing the crime seem to be people of color? And if not for a handful of whistleblowers, this would, it would have been put in place. But there were some very vocal minorities that stood up and said this can't go into place, Amazon, and if it does, you're going to have some huge difficulties, and yes, huge lawsuits from real lawyers. And you don't want that along with your brand. And so it's only because of that we don't have these systems in place today across the country that unfairly discriminate, because all of that power gets amplified by the power of technology. And yes, that would have been a disaster. But here we go again, and who knows, this could be a worse disaster if, like you said, if there's not more involvement by people of color.
By us. By us. Absolutely. So I says, I'm not scared.
Mhm.
I'm going to be prepared. It is here, and as AI improves, we are seeing automated vehicles.
Mhm.
I will have to seek financing. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to get a new car till it dies. And if I get a new car, then I'll definitely get an electrical vehicle. But you have people like sitting in these cars, going to sleep in these cars and crashing too. Like people, we can't depend too much on these technologies. They are fallible, okay? They're created by men. They're fallible. So I think too many people are depending on it, too much bias. Even when I think about the Genome Project,
Mm.
most of the genes from the Genome Project are coming from one sector of the whole world, the minority.
Yeah.
And we're making decisions about genes and healthcare based
Medicine.
on and medicine
Yeah.
based on the minority population in the world.
Yeah.
That's something to be concerned about. So I'm
Very.
not scared necessarily, but I am concerned. And I'm concerned that there's not enough people of color that know about it.
Mm.
Yeah. It might be time we stop using TikTok to show dance videos and start learning where TikTok how it was created. It's time like we start getting into technology and not just consuming it, but learning it. So that's why I wanted to talk about tonight, because if we don't learn it, if we just consume it and get excited about consuming it, it may take our jobs and be biased against us.
Wow. Wow. Mm.
Any final words? That's my final word. Any final words from you before we leave?
Those are powerful final words. I think that is the real fear. So maybe my final words are the benefits and the possibilities. If we get ahead of this, we can do things exponentially, and maybe we can create AIs that combat racism exponentially in ways that we haven't thought of. So maybe that'll be something one of your students is going to come up with because they were made curious.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. I see Roosevelt on. I think I don't, and a couple of people on Facebook and LinkedIn. So listen, feel free to share this. This was an awesome conversation, and I hope this inspired some of your children to really, really think differently. And good night, everyone. I am the phenomenal STEMist. Just wait off with me, Joel.